Authenticity isn't a nice to have in leadership. It's a non-negotiable. In a world full of facades, only your truth is the boldest move you can make. Welcome to the Danny V Show, the podcast for high-performing business owners, leaders, and entrepreneurs ready to lead with elegance, courage, and radical responsibility. I'm Danny V, and I'm here to help you strip away the fluff and step fully into your power at the boardroom and in business. In each episode, we'll share no-nonsense insights and real conversations on what it takes to show up authentically, make tough decisions with grace, and create impact at the highest levels. So if you're ready to own your voice and lead on your terms, you're in the right place. So let's dive in. Welcome back to the Danny V Show. It is such a privilege to have you here back again. And today we are at episode 12. Episode 11, I was speaking with the incredible Angela Henderson, and we were speaking about just not giving so many fucks and really allowing yourself to do the things that light your fire and really embrace that self-leadership before you step into leading others. Today, I do have a bit of a bee in my bonnet. So for episode 12, we are going to be talking about something that's I've noticed so much recently in business, in life, with leaders even that I do work with, and that is the refusal to take responsibility. The refusal to take responsibility for your actions, for what you are creating for your life and your business. And I've seen this in so many different areas in my business with clients and with other people that come to me, or even just watching and observing. I find that a lot of people don't do the work and then they are so surprised that they're not getting the results. I have seen people invest in high-end programs and they have not actually put the effort in. They don't show up to calls. They don't take the advice or the support that is there for them and then wonder why they're not getting the results in their business or as a leader. So what does actually radical responsibility mean? Radical responsibility is a component of my Embody framework, and that is the O for ownership. What that means is actually taking ownership for the actions that you take, taking ownership for who you show up as and who you're being. You have a choice, right? So when you wake up in the morning and you feel like you're going to have a horrible day, so you tell yourself you're going to have a horrible day, you're most likely going to have a horrible day. And that's taking ownership that you created that day. It's not easy, I'm telling you. There's many things that I've worked through throughout my life, in my career, and in my personal life where I've had to admit that, you know what, I am the bottleneck. I am the one not making the right decisions here. Also, if you're not getting the results that you want, are you looking and reflecting on why that is? What are you doing that is stopping you from getting the results that you want? All right. So let's move a little bit further into this. What does it look like for you in your business? So let's work through these different things and why it really matters. When you show up truly as you are, so authentically as you are aware of the vulnerability that you can show. This is really about owning your power, right? Too many people hide behind this excuses of the market is tough, my team isn't motivated, I don't have the time. Every excuse that you make is your energy, and you are stealing that energy from your own growth. Imagine that. Imagine seeing it in that form. You really can't outsource responsibility. You are the exact person that can take responsibility for the control that you have within your life and within your business. The easy steps to do is actually start writing down where you're not winning in life, where you're not winning in your career or in your leadership role. Where are the parts where you think you're not quite getting to where you want to be? And once you do that, just thinking about, what could I actually do to shift and change that? What would someone that is being like you want to be? So what was somebody that's actually being self-led in this situation? What would they do? And see if that's actually what you're doing. Now, the big alarm bell I wanted to say here, though, is please do not judge yourself when you realize that, you're not actually being who you need to be to get the results you want. Because we are all human, becoming aware of this shift that you need to make is the first step. And then awakening your thoughts and your behaviors and the narrative that you've been telling and being able to shift that. So finding alignment with becoming that person that you want to be. having that ownership of who you are, taking ownership of what you are responsible for. Now, there is a little but here, and this is where you as a leader also need to allow your team to take responsibility for what they do. If you have clear processes and systems in place so they know exactly what they're supposed to be doing, and then they don't do it, by you already showing that radical responsibility and taking ownership, they are in aligned to be able to do that themselves. And you'll be able to have those tough conversations. But that's a podcast for another day. Also, another little bee in my bonnet about this radical responsibility and taking ownership for who you are and the results that you get is if you're investing in a program, you need to show up. Yes, your coaches are there to support you, but if you're not showing up, how can they support you? If you're hiding behind excuses as to why you can't, instead of actually taking the ownership of making it work, maybe not making it work in the way that you thought it would, but showing that you want to commit to doing those things. And I'd love to share a story of actually myself this time of when I did not take ownership. I did not take ownership of what was happening in my life. And this was when I was actually building the Denny V brand. This was like 10 years ago now. And I couldn't understand why people didn't know what I did and why people didn't understand how transformational I would be and what kind of impact I would have. And I didn't do anything about it. What I would do is sit in that wallow. I would talk to the people that would sympathize with me and say, yeah, you're right, Denny. You know, people don't get it. People, people might just want you to do it for free one more time. And then I would just keep on doing things for free and giving away my energy for free and not taking responsibility and standing up and owning who I wanted to be. Now, it wasn't until I really started working with my embody framework that I realized that I was leaking energy out. So the E in embody is energy, and leaking my energy out to the source of my, I guess, sadness around my success. So by shifting and changing the way that I wanted to be, I wrote down word for word, who is this person that I need to be to show up in my business to get the results that I want? And then I reverse engineered it. And what can I do? What steps can I start doing today to shift and change that and what it looks like? I'd love to challenge you to see what it is that you can do to start actually taking ownership for where you are in your life right now. Even if you are super happy in certain areas of your life, is there somewhere that you're just feeling really quite frustrated and you feel like, you know what, I'd like to be at that next level? I challenge you to go back and do exactly what I did and write down, who do you need to be? Don't blame everybody else that you aren't there. Who do you need to be and how do you need to start showing up? Until you do that, it's going to cost you energy, it's going to cost you confidence, and it's going to cost you progress in where you want to be. When I finally owned who I am and realized that, it's not everybody else's fault why I'm not where I am, things changed exponentially. It was incredible. And I so want that for you too. I want to see that you can grow and expand without giving away your energy, by taking ownership of the things that sometimes is really hard to see when you look in the mirror. But when you do look in the mirror and shift and change, the change and the growth within your business and within you is just unbelievable. I'd like to finish with the thought that responsibility, radical responsibility and ownership is your gateway to freedom. Imagine waking up every single day knowing and taking ownership of who you wanted to be. Shifting and changing the narrative when you come up against those blocks of why me, why isn't this happening for me, or why is this happening to me? That's a big one when you know that you're blaming others instead of taking ownership. Maybe shifting it, like I said, why is this happening for me? What do I need to learn from this situation? I would be so honored if you shared with me your biggest takeaway from today's podcast, even if it is you starting to wake up in the morning, deciding who you want to be. A really great journal prompt to get you going with that is waking up and writing down, I choose to be. So who do you choose to be today? When I have big days of podcast interviews and I have a lot of talking or speaking on, I always say, I choose to be magnetic in my presence, because I want to magnify the people to understand how they can be magnetic in themselves as well. So then that reflection comes onto them. So what are you choosing to wake up with tomorrow? Share it with me. Go follow me on socials. And if there's something that you loved in this podcast, I would love you to share it on your socials or even send me a DM and let me know what your biggest takeaway was. Until next time, have the most incredible week and we'll see you at episode 13 next week. See you next time. Thank you so much for joining me on the Danny V Show today. I hope you're leaving this episode feeling inspired and empowered. My goal is always to bring you elegant insights with a bold impact. If you enjoyed our conversation, I invite you to subscribe to the show and leave a quick review. Your feedback not only means the world to me, but it also helps other growth-minded leaders find this community. Remember, leadership is an inside-out journey. The poise, the passion, and the purpose we cultivate within ourselves are what transform the world around us. So until next time, stay true to your vision and keep leading with the unique mix of grace and strength. Stay radiant, stay resilient, and I'll be right here cheering you on. I can't wait to hang out with you again on the next episode of The Danny V Show.